Hello there. Hey, what up? It's me, your boy. My audio seems a little low. What happened? Oh, what happened? There we go. That should be better. Hi, welcome. It's a chill day, so I'm gonna try not to yell in your faces, although that is something that I am wanting to do. Today we're going to be looking at my bookmarks and giving you guys a little bit of an update of sort of what's the plan going forward with the channel and in general, yada yada yada. I just rolled out of bed, as you can tell. I am still in my pajama pants, which is exciting because normally I don't even bother wearing pajama pants. It's usually just sweatpants before you get too excited. So today I'm going to allow for a lot of Q&A. So if you have any questions about like who I am, where I come from, because I know there's some new faces around, sort of what I'm about, or what I know, like educational background, stuff like that, feel free to ask. I do not promise that I will not lie, so have fun with that. you can figure it out. That's part of the fun. I'm mostly joking. I make no promises that I've actually answered the question appropriately. We're gonna look at my Twitter bookmarks because there's like a good amount of stuff in here that doesn't warrant its own episode, like in its totality. And so I'm kind of gonna like bebop through some of it. Today, and it'll be, I assure you, my Twitter bookmarks is just an absolute dumpster fire, because why wouldn't it be? Of course it is. It's only appropriate for it to be that way. Let me just get rid of that. There we go. Now I can see what's going on. So yeah, just if you do have questions though, please like tag me so I don't miss them, because that's definitely a possibility and it's a thing that happens all the time. So yeah, I guess we can get I should talk about a little bit of what the plan is going forward in the new year. So we are coming to close to the end of the year. You will have noticed that we did not do Decent December this year. Just with everything that had gone on since February, I didn't have like the time and energy between moving and yada 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 to actually go through and prepare it properly, and I didn't want to bung it up, as it were. So I will be looking at working on that going forward. So if you're interested in shilling your work with or like your area's charity or whatever, what have you, if it's like a Meals with Wheels thing, or if it's like a animal shelter thing, or if you do video games for charity stuff, feel free to email me. There are emails on the About page. Find the appropriate one and email me there, and we can set stuff up for that, but that won't be until next December, so plenty of time. Feline asks, what's the worst take I ever gave? I don't know, your takes are usually pretty good. You're also not much of a take giver. Oh, that you would still hold. You're not much of a take giver. You really don't. You tend to just point out facts of the matter or like interpretations of a situation. You're not really like a change my mind kind of take type person. So I don't know. I have to think about it. I don't keep a tally. Maybe I should. Hmm. I don't know. I'd have to think about it. Your worst take is any like Pokemon related. I'm sure. I'm sure it has to be. Okay, let's moving into the future. Okay, so in the new year, sort of my thoughts on the matter is I want to increase my time on Twitch. I know I did miss the last couple Thursdays for doing art, so that is coming this Thursday, but I burned myself out by accident and got a little bit sick. I'm better now. I've managed to rebalance my life a little bit better in a way that, like, once Christmas is over, we should be able to settle down a little bit more. So we will be live on Twitch on Thursday, but I want to slowly increase that to drawing like once a day. So at minimum for 2 hours, because I mean, that's how you get good at things. You spend time doing them and practicing them, and I don't do nearly enough art. So I want to, the goal is to, for now, start with Thursdays. Once we get Thursdays down, I want to start increasing the amount of time. So I don't want to increase the amount of time via the length I'm on Tuesday. I want to increase the time via the number of days that I'm streaming on Twitch. So what I'm hoping for, or what I'm aiming for, the goal is to start with Tuesdays being at least 2 hours, stretched to hopefully no more than 4, maybe 5, depending on what I'm working on. And then slowly adding, like, Tuesdays. So I'm live here now, but after, like, in the future, ideally I would be live here, chatting with you guys for however long this stream is, and then about an hour later, I would be live over on Twitch to do art stuff. Right? So if you do like this format, this is the kind of format you'll find over there. Probably less screenshots and screen sharing stuff, because it's just going to be me kind of talking about whatever I've gotten my shenanigans into, but you can come to the channel to find those if you want that, right? So it'll be a little bit more one-on-one chatty. So like the way these ones are when it's like this. And then hopefully we can add in Wednesdays, because Wednesdays are kind of a hit and miss with Debate Hub. Debate Hub I try to schedule on Wednesdays, but Debate Hub is very much reliant on the guests that are coming on and when they are available. So because of that, it kind of ends up hip-hopping around. I try to aim for Wednesdays, but once in a while I need to do a Friday or a Saturday, which is fine. That's not a problem. It's just the nature of the type of show it is. But it realistically was only happenstance that we ended up with like 3 of them this week. Because I'm not trying to have a Debate Hub every day. I'm just I'm not trying to force that that show. When something comes up and I can find people that are willing to talk about whatever that thing happens to be, that's when I schedule Debate Hubs, right? So I do keep an eye out, but I'm not running around being like, will you come on? Will you come on? Will you come on my show? I don't play that card, only because it's exhausting for me. Like, I don't have the I don't have the wherewithal to do that, and I don't have the cadence for it. So what I tend to do is I tend to look for people who are having a conversation already, or are interested in a topic already, and say, hey, can I ask you some questions about that? Or would you be interested to come over and have a conversation about that? That's sort of my approach. And so it means that because I'm not forceful about it, and because I'm not trying to have even a Debate Hub even every week, it ends up being like a floating show that is, because I'd rather it be good than often, if that makes sense. I'm going for quality over quantity in this case. And so I'd rather have Debate Hubs that are good, that you want to come to every time, because they don't happen all the time, but when they do happen, they're great, rather than just over flooding you with mediocrity, if that makes sense. I'd love to hear your thoughts about that. If you have a topic, if you have people you want to talk to, if you have things that work, please let me know. Even in the future, I do read all of the comments. I'm lying. I read most of the comments, but if you write me like 2 paragraphs, depending on how the first half of that first paragraph goes, I may not read the entire thing. Only because, like, if you're coming at me with a wonky cadence and you're telling me I'm fucking some idiot, I probably didn't read your whole comment, because I don't care. I'm sorry. There are times I only have so much patience. So, like, if you wanna like tell me I'm a stupid bitch, you're best off to just say that. Like, I'll let your comment through. Like, I don't tend to block comments like that. So your best bet is to, like, if you want to shit on me, you need to do it in 2 sentences or less. Because then I probably didn't read more than that. But if you're giving like an insightful answer about something and calling me a stupid bitch, then I probably read your whole comment. So yeah, leave me comments. I get I go through and I check pretty regularly. Actually, recently I just got 2 comments. Yeah, why do you care? Exactly. I actually really love that video. It's really short, it's really sweet because it gets across a point. And the point that it gets across isn't that you shouldn't care. It's that I think that it's important for people to assess why they do care. Like, if you're gonna get so riled up about something, you should know why. And you should make a conscious decision to decide whether or not that thing is worth caring about to you personally. Now, that doesn't mean if you decide not to, it doesn't mean that that thing doesn't have value, right? So if I'm talking about, take for example, the last Dumbfuck Friday, where we talked about NBC News and Kat and Andy. I don't care about the beef between Kat and Andy, and I don't even really care that much about the accusations against Andy. And that doesn't mean that those accusations don't matter or that they're not valid. It means in that video, I don't care about that. That's not what I'm talking about. The thing that I'm finding more problematic and more egregious for this particular thing is that this is NBC News. And so it doesn't mean that I don't care about victims. It doesn't mean that I don't care about whether or not these people's stories are true. It means that I don't care about this. This is getting compartmentalized. I'm putting this to the side for now because at the end of the day, whether or not I don't have the time nor the energy nor the resources, and that's the most important one, the resources to go and analyze and talk about and go through and interview all these women. I don't have time to go back to 2017 and because I didn't follow this. I came into this fresh and was like, no, I vaguely remember something about this happening. So I don't have the time or resources to do justice to those women and their story, or to Andy and then make that assessment. NBC News does. NBC News has those resources and that manpower to do that. They chose not to. They chose to screw those women and their stories over so Kat could take pot shots at a YouTuber. And that's what's problematic to me. That's what I was focusing on in that video. So when you say, like, why do you care? Not caring doesn't inherently mean that thing doesn't have value or that thing doesn't matter overall or that thing doesn't have any kind of... It's not a slight towards that thing is what I'm getting at. You only have so much bandwidth. You only have so much time and energy in a day. You can only focus on certain things. There's lots of Me Too coverage. They got lots of coverage back in 2017, and that's all great and good, yada, yada, yada. I was talking about something different. And so I like to do the why do you care? If I find myself getting angry about something, I ask myself, why do I care about this? And then so sometimes I decide, I don't, whatever. Like, how much do I actually care about NBC News? It doesn't make what they're doing more or less problematic, but it's not going to affect my personal life. Like, I don't get off of stream and go, like, lose my mind for the next, like, 2 hours. Once in a while, I'll get off a stream and be like, ooh, I need a drink. But it's the same way, like, it's something stiff. But it's like the same way that you get off of work and you're like, oh, I need a drink. I need to hit the bar. I need to get out of here for a little bit. But yeah, that's kind of the way I think and the way I kind of break that down. That's why I like that clip so much. It's a really good one, and it ticks off the right people. It's very much like there to instigate, like elicit a little bit of an emotional response, and then elicit, okay, you're having an emotional response. That's fine. That's good. Have those. And now think about why. Why are you having this emotional response, right? Because it's not, I don't like calling emotions illogical because they're not. I think trying to pretend that emotions aren't part of life and part of the way we interpret the world around us as if they don't exist, that to me is illogical. The facts don't care about your feelings is absolutely nonsensical. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't work to try to pretend that emotions don't play a massive role in the way we view the world and interpret information is absolutely ridiculous. Like, absurd to me. And so, the why do you care isn't about, it's about assessing those emotions, not rejecting them, not downplaying, not trying to remove them. But if you can understand why, you can then kind of learn how to navigate it, right? Anyway, I'm getting preachy. I apologize. A self-help guru. Yeah, self-reflection. Okay. So, I have a few things here. Did I cover everything I was looking forward to the new year? Yeah, increase the amount of time we're streaming on Twitch. To like I want to get Thursdays consistent, and then as Thursdays get consistent, I want to extend the amount of time, starting with adding Tuesdays in as well. So we'll go from streaming on Tuesdays to streaming on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then oh my god, streaming on Thursdays, then adding in Tuesdays and Sundays. That's the goal. I might end up, because right now my day off, like the day that's just for me, is Monday. And Sunday, kind of. Because Sundays we did do gaming stuff, and I do want to still do that, but it's kind of, it doesn't work for this channel. It doesn't work to be here. So I'm kind of hoping we can shift that over to Twitch, because I think that makes more sense. It's good to have a variety channel. It's not good if it's so much variety that there's no consistency, and I think that's what I kind of started running into. So I want to take a couple of the things that are on this channel and move it over to Twitch. And then there will still be like VODs and videos. There will be more short videos on this channel coming out. I'm just waiting for my computer. I had to order a new computer. The one I have now functions, but it won't render anything. So it works for streaming. I can do this. Works great. Can't edit any. Well, that's not true. I can edit. I can't render my edits. I don't know why. It's also starting to have a little bit of trouble. Having a little bit of trouble. Sometimes it's struggling to start up. So I think the motherboard's starting to go on it. So I ordered a new computer. It was supposed to be here between the 1st and the 5th. It is now the 13th. And it's still not here. So I don't know. Hopefully that will come soon. And then we can get started with some. I already have a couple edited that I'm gonna have to now re-edit because it won't render. So something's on the way. Hopefully that'll work. Hey, good to see you. And I'm actually probably gonna end up running both computers. I'll use this one for streaming, use the other one exclusively for editing. And then I don't have to, like, I still only have 2 monitors. Like, I'm not buying another monitor. That's just not happening. So, it's not the boot up speed. It's that it's not connecting. But tech problems aside, the is not a laptop. Just my regular computer. It's just this computer, same computer. What was I talking about? Puck. Updates on Puck and his poor little boy leg. So, for any of you who don't know, Puck twisted his leg and bashed it on. He was chasing a squirrel, and he turned and slammed his leg. I'm not gonna edit on my TV. Also, this TV is hella old. This TV is so old. I also have the tablet right here. What I'm getting at is I'm not gonna buy another monitor. I'm just gonna move my plugs around. Hey, good to see you, Ash. Okay, So, for anybody who doesn't know this, for late summer, fall, it was fall, mid-fall, late fall, Puck was chasing a squirrel. He slipped and smashed his hip on the deck. He was limping for like a couple of days. Then he was fine. Bruising, no broken, and he was fine. Now, a couple of maybe about a month ago, 3 weeks maybe, give or take, he twisted his leg. I didn't see where or when he did, but he twisted his ankle. And so he's been having a bit of a hard time. He's kind of bored. And he's been limping around holding his leg up. And he was struggling with the stairs. Like, he couldn't get up and down off the bed. He had to pick him up. So, which is hilarious. So, that would be cool, Defango, yeah. That would actually be really cool. I did that a little bit with where I ran the streaming, but the stream didn't really come through very well, but a slideshow might work better. Oh, you know what? Now that you mention it, I have an idea. I'll set that up for next time. I have an idea. So I had to pick him up onto the bed, but as of like about yesterday, he's doing stairs. He's not doing stairs quickly. He's still like tentative about it, but he's doing the stairs. He's fine. He can get up on the bed if he wants to. I'm still picking him up for the most part, just because I still want him to take it easy for a little bit longer. But he is getting better. He's improving. He's doing good. So he's getting there. It does not appear to be a permanent injury, so he'll be okay, which is good. So updates on Puck are all positive. He's in the other room right now. He didn't want to come in. He's taking a nap. He woke up, went outside, and was like, "Cool, I'm ready for a nap now." And I'm like, I feel that old man vibe. Are there any other updates? Hopefully this stream should be running smoother. I know we did drop during the last Pele volcano video. It turns out that the internet guy did come by and switch the modem while I was live. Whoops. No, listen, nobody told me shit. All I knew, we already had the new modem. So I had no idea. But the stream should be running smoother at a little bit of a higher quality now, which is wonderful. That was the outage, yep. Whoopsie. So yeah, everything should be running better now. I am getting less, I'm not getting the notification once in a while. YouTube will notify me and be like, your megabytes aren't high enough, blah, 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 blah. I haven't gotten that, so it looks like we're good to go. We have the highest possible internet here and have had it the whole time, but we're still having trouble. That's why the modem got switched. So, they also, I guess it turned out one of the problems was that there was the plugs that were going into the house were for cable, phone, and like TV, phone, and internet, but we don't have phone and TV here. So they took that out, and that helped, and then they switched the modem, and it looks like everything's good to go now. So everything's nice, spicy, tidied up, clean. You'll notice that Debate Hub also has like a little bit new sparkly look to it. We got that nice and sorted. Did that half of that live, but that's all well and good and set up now. I think I'm happy with this layout. I don't think this one really needs to be changed. Maybe I can get something cycling down here somewhere or something like that. But for now, good to go. If you guys have any suggestions about what you think, I saw Defango saying about the TV. If you have any suggestions, please let me know. I'm more than happy to take them on board. So, are you guys ready to take a look at my my Twitter bookmarks? Because shit's about to get spicy in here. Bwop. Yeah, there we go. Because of course Ben Shapiro and Vic Mignogna are the top two ones that I have bookmarked right now. Because why wouldn't they be? But before we jump into them, I do want to go a little bit ahead because I was really excited to talk about this one. This is some TTRPG community stuff that I've been getting into a little bit, and this is Jesse is wonderful, and this interaction had me like, what is going on? So Jesse had tweeted out, like, this is the straight thing. He says, Instead of changing the TTRPG term race to species, what if we change it to people? We use it in anthropology all the time. It's a pretty great way, it's a pretty great sway to distinguish sapient groups without dehumanizing them. Just a thought. So there's been talk in the TTRPG community and D&D spaces, if you're unfamiliar with that, that they've changed the name of race, meaning your elf, your dwarf, your drat, like, and your different kinds of elves, and then you're moving into, like your gnomes, your beholder, I guess would be a race. And they've moved that to species. And there's been pushback and forth about whether or not that's a good thing. I kind of like the word kind. I also kind of like the word kingdom. In the kingdom of elves, blah 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 blah, because it's just completely arbitrary. Species works in some way if you want to do sort of a more classical classification style. So if you're like, okay, so the race is elf, sub-race is moon elf, sub-race is, right? So you can do things like that. I don't mind if creationists play D&D. I don't have a problem with that. I ain't gatekeeping. You're a creationist, you can play D&D. The only thing that's stopping you is you from playing more TTRPGs. That's not true, because the scheduling is like the hardest part of playing any kind of consistent game, so it's probably not the only thing stopping you, but anyway, that's a whole ass conversation. I don't particularly care. Like, if people want to continue using race, I don't think that's going to really be that much of a problem, because they're personal tables. If you're making somebody uncomfortable at your table, you're kind of an asshole. But when it comes to, like, should the Hasbro, which owns D&D, make a decision to try to make their game more inclusive, I mean, yeah, probably that's just good business. The more people play your game, the more people are spending money on your game, right? So, I don't know. You want to go meet Jesus in Dungeons and Dragons? Go for it. Good luck deciding where he falls on the alignment chart if you decide to run alignments, because that's going to be chaotic, but yeah, why not? Whatever, you can make that decision. Anyway, besides this is not what had me rolling. What had me rolling was this guy's response. How does it feel knowing you people have changed, censored, and overall castrated D&D in ways the evangelicals of the 1980s could only dream of? And I'm just gonna shout out Trevor right here, whose response was, ha 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 ha, sit down. We're gonna shout out our poor Trevor, who's been a guest on the show before, for just laughing at this poor man. This baffles me. This baffles me. Defango, we gotta get together and have a conversation about your experience, because I'd love to, like, get the details and hear about it. Because it sounds fascinating. Like, it sounds like such an interesting experience. Okay, so how does it feel knowing you people? What do you mean, you people? But seriously, who is you people? Have censored and overall castrated D&D. How? In what way? What are you talking about? What? Guys, we're changing the name from race to species. Nope, D&D's over. Cancel D&D. This is literally game unplayable. Evangelicals of the 1980s could only dream of. I don't... He's referring to the Satanic Panic. The Satanic Panic wasn't about castrating or censoring D&D. Well, I mean, censoring in a way. Censoring as in not allowing anyone to play it ever. Um, it would be censoring the game in its entirety, but you people, a superset of you guys. Yes. Oh, hey, Nikki, it's good to see you. I just don't. So, in a world of magic, Dungeons and Dragons, one man stands alone to use the word race to describe a gnome. I don't know. It's so hyperbolic and so like it's such like a visceral thing that this man is saying. And like I haven't actually looked at this guy's Twitter. Too young to die, too old to live. Okay. The real conspiracy theorists are the ones arguing that these child sexual abuse material problem on Twitter wasn't that bad for the past decade. Oh, okay. Good. Good. Does this guy have like any... That's hilarious. That's funny. I'm a fan of this. Elon Musk and the hardcore cult of Diet Coke? What is this man into? Oh no. Okay. Okay. Alright, I'm leaving this place. We've gone to silly land already. Alright, I want to see the rest of what this guy had to say. Because there was a... Jesse responded. And Jesse said, "Fun fact, I am not Wizards of the Coast. And if you bothered reading the post you were complaining about, you'd notice I wasn't approving of this change." Yeah, Jesse makes a really good point. He didn't say that we should change race to species. He's suggesting something even more broad, like people, like kind, like kingdom, right? He's so bizarre. So this guy responds with, it goes by Mallrat. No, you want this change to happen, you just don't want them to use the word species because nothing will ever satisfy you people. It's not about being satisfied, right? It's about making improvements where improvement can be made. It's not about being perfect. It's not about being... No, people aren't going to be satisfied because there's always going to be improvements to be made. It doesn't mean the old way was inherently wrong. It doesn't mean the old way... It doesn't need to be put up on a pedestal and treated like it's perfect. It's about saying, hey, in our current time period, in our current societal structure, with our current societal norms, changing this to this, which is realistically at the end of the day an arbitrary change, might make things better and might let us sell more stuff and might make our game more accessible to people. In 20 years from now, they could change it back. Because it's not an inherently wrong thing for this terminology. It's not like they're using racial slurs. Right? It's just making a slight shift of one. There was like a big deal back in the day because they changed mages to wizards. Clearly game unplayable. I don't know who's who anymore. I can't tell. Who's a wizard? Who's a mage? Who's even using magic? Yeah, they changed mage to wizard. And maybe one day they'll change it back. Maybe they'll change wizards to mages. So they changed mage to an occupation and wizard to the class. Right? Like, trying to treat this language like it's that stringent about this fantasy world to me is absurd. Words are not only polysemous, but also they are what we make of them as a society, not as an individual, because there is things that you can do as an individual to take words differently, yada yada yada, but as a society the usage of a word will change based on that, like where you live, where you're from on the planet, how old you are, right? There are words that have like gotten like had more negative connotations over time than they had in the past, and vice versa, right? Words that used to be more problematic aren't. The word fuck, for example, comes to mind. That word doesn't mean anything anymore. It doesn't. Not alone. It only means things in context. So if you just say the word fuck, it is completely arbitrary. But if I say fuck you, now there's context. And then depending on my tone and who I'm talking to and what I'm saying this in response to will change the connotation. Right? So there's something that I like to describe with society, and it's a pendulum swing. And the pendulum swing is something's happening, and then there's an overcorrection, and then we swing back to the center. And then something's happening, and then you go to the next thing. Something's happening, we overcorrect, and we swing back to the center. And that tends to be the way I've, at least from my observation, the way society tends to handle like social structures. So when you come to, like, if you go and look at the amount of discussion, let's say, or protesting around word usages, right? No matter how you change the word or what you think about it, it doesn't invalidate the way people feel about the usage of said word. It's not the word that's the problem, it's the people utilizing the word that is the problem. The word is just a word. It doesn't have any power. What gives the word power, what gives the word meaning, is the context and usage of it by society as a whole. And what we've seen over the past couple of years, I say couple of years, but it should be like past couple decades, is your world is getting bigger. Whether you like it or not, right? So if you grew up in a small town, and that small town then started trading and interacting with, cars were invented, and then they got popularized. Then planes got popularized. Then emails. Then global. There are steps that are larger and larger between point A and point B, right? Whether you like it, and there's people out there that still don't have internet, but one day they will. So like it or not, your world will get bigger, period. Your bubble, your sphere, the people that are in, like, your local area is global at this point. And so you can pick and choose to have, like, and what I hope will happen to a degree, and I'm sure it will overcorrect and be problematic in some cases, is that people will be less online because we've overcorrected, right? We didn't have this thing, we didn't have access to information, we didn't have yada 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 yada, and then swing all the way to the side, and now we're on the internet all the time. 24/7 people are chatting. And good, like, it's good that people are talking. It's good that people have access to information they wouldn't otherwise have. It's good that we can get perspectives from outside our general sphere of influences. Great. The swing back and the overcorrection back the other way is when we start investing more locally because we've neglected it for a little while. So once it's been neglected for a little while, we start to understand its value when it's taken care of properly, right? And so you can start looking into what activities, what exists, what doesn't exist, what will be helpful, what will be useful, right? And there will be a reinvestment into that. Now, the risk is that that then overcorrects itself, and people start creating little secluded bubbles, right? And I'm sure that will happen, but on the extreme end, you get like a crazy homeowners fence-gated community that's just like, no, we hate everybody, don't come here, fuck you. And that's not healthy, obviously, for obvious reasons, right? And so it's just a matter of like finding that balance, and as things get utilized more and experienced more, that balance will deal with itself. It's a self-rectifying problem in that people are talking about it and it's going to happen, right? Your world will get bigger whether you want it to or not. Right. So just to address some of what's going on in chat here, Me Too had a huge swing, and now that there has been a correction. Right, exactly. Believe all women, right? Hugely overcorrected a problem. There was problems. There still are problems. It's never going to be perfect, but there once was a time where if you reported, you would be dismissed. Right? There wasn't proper education, and there wasn't proper tools and rules and processes in place to deal with this problem. And so the correction was to, well, if you believe us in the first place would be a good start. And that got overcorrected to believe anything a woman says forever, which is absurd. Like, the fact that there are people arguing for Amber Heard is an example of, like, this way, way overcorrection. And it will swing back. But it takes people having that conversation. It takes people that are a lot of the time treated as pariahs to say, okay, well, but maybe we should wait and hear out what the hell's actually going on before we talk on it. So, like, again, with, like, Andy Singhorn and Kat, right? If I call out Kat, does that mean what did or did not happen to those victims did or did not happen? No, of course not. That's not what's being discussed. Right? So, it takes those kinds of conversations, and those conversations are really difficult to have, because a lot of the times, it's... Take Mosey, for example, which we covered yesterday. Should Mosey be kicked out of a community entirely? Which I would argue is canceling. I think that should depend on his behavior. But that requires the community to not jump the gun, right? To not be like, you know what, no, fuck this guy. He didn't really, like... And there's going to be leeway one way or another, right? Depending on what this person actually brought to the community in the first place, right? So, I don't know. I'm not sure what would happen. Do I think Mosey has a chance to kind of rectify the problem and rebuild it? If he wants to, sure. I think he could. I don't, from the tone of what I read and what I was looking at, it doesn't seem like that's necessarily going to be the case. If he gets in touch with the right people, maybe. That might be able to help him navigate the situation and actually, like, make the changes that are required. But it's not easy to change your behavior. It's not easy to do that level of self-reflection and then put in the amount of work that you need to fix your reputation with people that you've wronged, right? It's a lot of work, and you have to really want it, and you have to be earnest. And if you're not earnest, and if you don't have the right people around you to help you communicate your earnesty to those people, you're going to have a bad time. It is hard. It is not easy, right? It's not like, oh, I'm just going to get on camera and cry a little bit and then everybody will forgive me. It's not that simple, particularly the smaller your community is. Hopefully that addresses the point. I kind of touched on banned words. That's just their current lore, right? There's nothing stopping anyone from breaking out an entire campaign of 3.5. It's not even lore. It's just terminology. It's just the way it's written in the book. It's not even lore. This changes nothing about the game function. Like, it doesn't change the function of the game. It doesn't change the rules. It doesn't even change the lore. But yeah, there's literally nothing stopping you from playing 3.5 if you want to. There's nothing stopping you from playing 3.5 and utilizing the terminology in 4th edition. There's nothing stopping you from playing 5th edition using terminology from 1st edition, if you want to. There is no boundaries here. That's one of the fun things about D&D. You can mix, match, cross, do whatever the flying fuck you want, right? And that's the thing that's bizarre about a lot of the criticisms when it comes to stuff in the TTRPG community is that people view criticism of the company and the game as a criticism of their personal home game. It's very much, there are a lot of people that are very, very, very attached to and have built their identity on being like the unaccepted nerd who has their table, and this is like their thing. This is the thing that they know. And now there's other people playing the game and having fun, but those people are telling me what to do. No, they're not. They're telling you how they play, and if you're telling them how you play and they say, I think that's kind of inappropriate, well, maybe to them, it's not their table. Not their circus, not their monkey. Doesn't mean they don't have an opinion. You put it out there. If you don't want people to have opinions about your home games, don't share your home games. I don't know what to tell you. If you don't want to have the discussion, don't enter the discussion. I don't understand. It's so strange to me. Hey, I asked you guys for your opinions. You gave me an opinion. Well, fuck you. When people get, my small town fifis don't care about none of them facts and logic, that can be a problem. If your bubble gets too isolated, there's nothing wrong with having a group on Facebook. There's nothing part of being a group in Twitter. There's nothing wrong with having a social group or a social tribe, or like a group of people that you're part of, your sports team, your bar buddies, your Discord. Nothing wrong with that. It's only a problem because this is a misnomer about echo chambers. Being in a group of like-minded people is not inherently an echo chamber. The reason it gets problematic is when questioning what the group is doing is met with too much hostility versus, or like that group will go after that person, which is just, bullying. And if that's the only place you're going, if you're part of a Facebook group and you're only going to that Facebook group for any information or whatever's going on, you're isolating yourself, and that's what makes it an echo chamber, because you're all just circle jerking at that point. You're all just agreeing with each other forever because you're the only ones each other talks about or talks to about whatever problems, right? But if you have a Facebook group, and then you also have a Discord, and you're also participating in a Twitch side chat, and you're also participating in YouTube comments or like in YouTube live chats, you're getting multiple perspectives. If you only watch one YouTuber about like this kind of conversation, you're not in an echo chamber. However, if this is the only thing you're coming to for any kind of information whatsoever, as much as I would love for everybody to watch the Unnamed Tavern for their news, that is not the only place you should be getting your news. And I would appreciate that you trust us to be providing sources and giving good information. We're not perfect. We also are coming at things from our own perspectives. It's also not a news channel. We don't have those kinds of resources. So if you're going to like only Fox News, or you're going to only NBC, or you're going to only like, you're gonna have a bit of a bad time. You're gonna be getting a very isolated view of what is going on, right? And so if you're looking for things like that, or you're looking for people to interact with, it's good to expand your horizons and what good places to look for, or what good interactions to have. And like, just because an interaction is negative doesn't mean it was like inherently a bad experience to have, even if it was like a bad experience. Bad experiences are part of life. Bad experiences are a part of doing better and learning and yada 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 and all that good shit, life guru stuff, whatever. I think we should take care of people, the people wanting to swing back literal fascism. When things get, oh, it's good to see you, Sly. When you see, I read your message, I just haven't like gone through. I woke up, read your message, and was like, oh, I gotta get ready. So I'll read through it more thoroughly, but I did see it and I did read some of it. Well, I skimmed it. I haven't gone through it fully yet, but I will. I will do that. Also, when are you coming on? Because you need to come on this channel. Because I like you. Anyway. So, yeah, multilingual traveling. If I wanted to say how I would suggest fixing the problem, because I really don't like just sitting around and bitching about being like, nah, people bad. I don't like those guys. I like to try to bring like something of a solution or something that could at least be spitballed. My suggestion for society not being complete garbage is to invest more in transfer students. I think it ought to be more common that 2 or 3 year rotation of students around the world would be very beneficial, and I think it ought to be an opt-out system. And the reason I say it should be an opt-out system is because it should be something that happens automatically, but then the parents who don't give a shit about their kids, and who are the kids that probably need that exposure the most, are going to be parents that are too lazy to do anything to make sure their kid doesn't go. That's why it should be an opt-out system, because people are lazy. There's nothing like taking advantage of human ingenuity, which is just, what's the easiest way I can do this so I can spend the least amount of time doing it? I do like that laziness is like, lazy people are sometimes the most productive people on the planet. Because they find like the fastest, lowest effort way of getting something done. Just get this the fuck out of here so I don't have to do this anymore. Gotta find the right ones though. Gotta find the right ones. You want this change to happen. Okay, bud, have a good one. Lamau. There's Katie from who was here yesterday. Like, what a bizarre it's like, it's such a sweet, short little, like, hey, what about this idea, smiley face? Fuck you! You're ruining my game, too. I'm not Wizards, and I'm not even like, I'm suggesting different changes. No! Okay! Yeah, I need more coffee. Actually, I didn't drink coffee. I need more tea. I just thought this interaction was so bizarre. So bizarre. I think to answer this honestly, it feels powerful. I have no idea. Wait, what is this? Oh, yeah. I had no idea I wielded this much power over you. I will try not to let it go to my head. For my next trick, I shall fix Monk's tears in 2 and 3. That's the thing, Monk, like, that's a conversation of itself. I don't want to get too into, like, the nitty-gritty crunch of D&D. I think that's a conversation for another day. But, monks are my favorite. I love monks. They're so much fun. But god damn did they fall off after, like, level 5. Ugh. It should be stronger without multi-classing. Yeah, multi-classing is good. Is a good quick fix, but yeah, I agree. Each class should unless all of the classes need to multi-class, each class should stand on its own. If they're not gonna stand on their own, what's the point of having them up to level X, right? Anyway, sorry, I thought this I didn't think I was gonna be able to do like a whole stream on this, but oh my god, I wanted to talk about it. So okay, that was Jesse. I thought the way Jesse handled it was great. I like Trevor's response. Mwah, like, you can't take that shit seriously. It's so visceral and emotional, and it makes no sense that it's just like, okay, sure, bud. Thanks, tips. Alright, so let's take a listen to see what Ben Shapiro has to say, shall we? I'm sure this will be enlightening, because, you know, he always is.
The New York Times quotes Media Matters, and this is amazing, but it shows you how far we have moved socially. Media Matters, of course, a left-wing organization that is specifically dedicated to targeting and destroying political opposition by targeting advertisers. They quote Ari Drennan, the LGBTQ program director for Media Matters, a nonprofit that monitors conservative media, which is a wonderful.
I like his little wiggle that he does when he's talking. He's just like, wiggle, 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 because he thinks he's being sassy.
They quote Ari Drennan, the LGBTQ program director for Media Matters, a nonprofit that monitors conservative media, which is a wonderful way of avoiding the fact that they are a radical left-wing activist group founded by David Brock. Ari Brennan said the Daily Wire had, quote, laid out this belief in traditional views of gender and sexuality as a cornerstone of Western civilization. Well, I mean, my goodness, how terrible of us. We laid out, you're telling me that we laid out a belief that traditional views of gender and sexuality are a cornerstone of Western civilization? How controversial, how terrifying, just awful. Well, that kind of gives away the game.
I'm sorry, this man's face. There's something special about like the way he's like constantly looking down but looking up at you with those thicko eyebrows of his, which I love. I'm a fan of thick eyebrows on men. Top tier. But bro, the way he just holds himself is just like, oh yes, I remember. He always looks kind of mad all the time. He looks like an angry teenager 24/7. I'm here for it. You keep doing you, Ben Shapiro. So, gender... Oh god, what is it? What did he say? Gender... He said something specific. Hold on, I want to get the terminology that he used correct.
Cornerstone of Western civilization? Well, I mean, my goodness, how terrible of us. We laid out, you're telling me that we laid out a belief that traditional views of gender and sexuality are a cornerstone of Western civilization?
We laid out that traditional gender and sex are a cornerstone of Western civilization. I mean, I don't see how they wouldn't be. Like, I'm a little bit confused because are we disagreeing about that, or is he just saying, well, yeah, it's so awful that we've done this? And it's like, well, you didn't do it. History did it. Like, what? We're not having a conversation. Like, nobody's saying that gender had nothing to do with the way civilization is built, right? Like, nobody's saying that. Is anybody saying that? Because that'd be a little bit silly. If they are, it's a little bit silly. There aren't very many matriarchies, for example. Not that matriarchies would be inherently good. I don't think that would be the case. If you're judging leadership qualities based off of gender alone, you're probably fucking it up. But okay. I think the ultimate question we're getting here is, are gender roles inherently necessary for Western civilization? Let's find out what he has to say.
How controversial, how terrifying, just awful. Well, that kind of gives away the game, because what the left believes is that you can completely obliterate views of gender and sexuality and hold the entire structure of Western civilization intact, or they don't care whether the structure of Western civilization is held intact.
Yes, Osh, that is my favorite. That is my favorite Ben Shapiro thing, when he's just like, oh, people's houses will be underwater. He's like, they can sell them. And it's like, to who? Okay. What do you think trans people are doing besides, at worst, reinforcing and at best engaging in the idea that somebody can be a traditional man or a woman? If you are transitioning, right, and you say you're a woman, you were born a woman, you're transitioning into a man, right? Let's take that for example. You have an idea of what a woman is and what society is enforcing upon you. You don't like it for whatever reason, right? Because I'm not going to say that, like, I don't want to say it's as simple as you don't like it. You are not comfortable. You want to change it for whatever that reason may be. Whether that be, whatever. Your reasons are personal. I don't care. Whatever your reason is. Because you should be able to do it. Your reasoning is completely irrelevant. It's your body. Do what you want. Don't care. understanding what society is pushing upon you and what you're putting on yourself, and you're deciding to go from female to male, right? But to make that transition, you have to then acknowledge that men are something different, or they're treated differently, right? Or at least the way society treats men is different from the way they treat women, right? So having a specific sexuality, like being straight or being gay or being bi, also utilizes this gender structure, right? So if you're gay, you're interested in the same gender you are, which identifies gender, right? All of these utilize a traditional idea of at least gender structure of binary. Now, there is non-binary, right? Which is acknowledging that there is a subsect, which is fine, but all of this deals with a very complicated societal structure versus a biological structure versus what your expectations are and what you want. At the end of the question that I would ask is, if we did not have gender stereotypes as heavily enforced as they are currently, would as many people transition? And the answer is I don't have a fucking clue. I have no idea. I know that there is no reason why people shouldn't be allowed to dress however the goddamn way they want to dress. I think that you should be allowed to wear your hair however you want. I think if you want to present yourself as male or female, or neither or both, you should be allowed to do that, and nobody should give a shit. Why? Because it's none of their fucking business. Like, realistically, at the end of the day, why do you care? If you see a lady who is 500 pounds wearing a belly top, why do you care? Why does that bother you? It's none of your fucking business. If you see somebody wearing a dress who has a beard, why do you fucking care? Feline says, some pushback. Would the concept of man or woman in their mind not also include the idea of any biological man to be feeling and being a man that falls in love with a woman? I'm sorry, I'm not sure I understand the question. Concept of a man or woman in their mind not also include the idea of a biological man to be feeling and being a man that falls in love with a woman? I don't know. I'm sorry, I'm not sure what you're referring to. I'm assuming... Oh, you're talking about Ben Shapiro. Okay, I now have a better idea of what you're talking about. Yes, I think so. I mean, yeah, I'm not saying Ben Shapiro was right. Ben Shapiro doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. Ben Shapiro thinks you can sell property underwater. Who cares what Ben Shapiro thinks? I'm just not entirely sure how removing gender norms or changing gender norms would destroy society. Right? I also don't understand nor agree with his depiction of the left. Right? Being left or being progressive to say that well, trans people should have rights has nothing to do with destroying civilization. Giving people rights doesn't destroy civilization. It doesn't destroy civilization. You know what does destroy a civilization? Not giving people rights. Because those people eventually get mad at you for not giving them rights, and then they break your shit. And usually it's shit they built anyway, so I guess it was theirs to break in the first place. So, let people have fucking rights? Let people dress and look the way they fucking damn well want to, and if they want to get additional surgery, let them, and if they don't make them? Heh. could I help Chad understand your devil's advocate? Okay, so, like, would the concept of a man or a woman in Ben Shapiro's mind not also include the idea of any biological man to be feeling and being a man that falls in love with a woman? So, meaning that there is no, if you were trans, you were already a man the whole time. Or if you were, a man could only ever biologically be a man could only ever love a woman, a man, like, there's a lot of restrictions. Meanwhile, Matt Walsh is like, LGBTQ people don't even exist. Yeah, read a history book. All right. Let's hear what I want to let the man finish. Actually, no, I don't, but I'm going to.
They're perfectly willing to undermine the little platoons of family that have always supported Western civilization, and they're willing to do so in the name of an atomized individualism that sinks enormous numbers of people, particularly young people, into depression and suicidal ideation.
What is depression and suicidal ideation? Does Ben Shapiro just not know what depression is? What? Yeah, atomized individualism? He's just using words. they're just word. This is absolute. This is word salad. This is like the flux capacitor. Oh God, Ben Shapiro, please. I don't. If you want to talk about how being a trans person affects you at a young age, and how social pressures can affect your psychology, that's a great conversation to have, Ben. How about we have that conversation? Because that's complicated and that's difficult and it's really hard. These are difficult conversations, which is why Ben Shapiro has to make up words to feel like he can keep up. Depression is being Ben Shapiro's wife. No! He's saying, I know that he's not trying to say that allowing trans people to exist and have rights means that they're going to make children depressed. What? These children exist anyway, and they're going to be depressed anyway. Like, being a man or being a woman exclusively doesn't exclude you from being depressed. Being trans, you're more likely to suffer from these things because you're not allowed to exist. And if we can just allow these people to exist, which would at least help take that stigma and help take that additional social pressure, isn't going to prevent them from necessarily getting depressed, because getting depressed sometimes has nothing to do with anything that's happening around you. And 100% has to do with your brain chemistry. And so in those cases, all it does is remove an additional pressure that doesn't need to exist. There's no reason for you to give a shit, personally, about what somebody else wants to do with their body and how somebody else wants to dress. And you know whose else business it isn't? Your kids. Which means it's not going to negatively affect your children to see a boy walking around with a dress on, outside of them being curious to wear a dress. And then you can just let them try it, because why not? Maybe they're going to like it. Maybe they're going to think it's comfortable. But you're scared of that. You're scared of a dress. Okay. You know, men used to wear dresses all the time, right? Like, that was... Study fashion history. Just a little bit. Just teeny baby little bit. People are stupid. Anyway.
That's what they actually want. A lot of people have been writing saying I'm talking a lot about social issues lately. Yeah, yes, because the left is pushing a brand new social compact that essentially dissolves all social fabric, including the most important social fabric you will ever be a part of, your immediate family.
The left is destroying families. why does Ben Shapiro think that like people accepting other family members and being more accepting of their family destroys a family? You should be accepting of your family because they're your family or because you like them. And because hopefully they're decent people to you. If they're not decent people to you, fuck them. Bonds through blood are thicker than water through womb. That's the entirety of blood is thicker than water. There's this is absolutely nonsensical and is not like it's out of context and non he's telling a story. He's fear mongering about something that doesn't fucking exist. Nobody's coming knocking at your door being like, if your son your son has to wear a dress and it's going to destroy your family. Your family is wrong for existing. What? Nobody's fucking saying that.
You're born into that family. The left has this bizarre view that human beings are sort of babes born in the woods and that family ties are completely arbitrary. They are not. You are born into a family. That family is defined before you are born.
They're arbitrary in that you don't have a choice of where you're going. It's a luck. It's luck of the draw about who your family's going to be. If your family's going to be accepting and cool people or if your family's going to be an abusive piece of shit. It's arbitrary. Because you don't get to pick. There's no information ahead of time. You are born into whatever you're stuck with. That's why it's arbitrary, not because you're not related to those people.
And you are related, generally speaking, to that family, genetically. You have ties of blood. Those ties bind. That is a good thing. It is not a bad thing. It is not parochial. It is not bigoted. There's nothing wrong with saying, I love my family more than I love everybody else. In fact, that is the way that nature, if you don't believe in God, created you, and it is the way that God created you if you believe in God.
This is making a whole lot of assumptions about your family not being a piece of shit. If your family doesn't like you, and your family's dick to you, you don't owe your family anything. Even if they're not, even if your family is lovely to you, you don't actually owe them anything outside of whatever social contract or whatever contract you've agreed to. But anything you didn't agree to, you don't owe. So like, it's your family's when you're born, it's your family's responsibility to take care of you. You don't owe them shit for that. They signed up for that all on their fucking own. They did that all by themselves. You don't owe them shit for that. They fed you? Oh my god, they did the bare bones basic minimum of what they were required to do to keep you physically alive? Good job. What do you want, a fucking pat on the back? You don't owe your family shit. Even if they're lovely to you and invested a lot of time and emotion into you. Because a family that is like that isn't going to tell you that you owe them shit. You don't owe them anything. Now, can you be kind and nice to your family because they're your family members? Yes, but do that on your terms. And they will respect you for it, or should respect you. And if they don't respect you, you've got a different problem on your hands. Fuck those people. There's something about when it comes to, like, the ties you choose, right? And it's wonderful if and when you're able to choose to tie yourself with your family members. But that is a choice that you get to make. Yeah, my mom's in the chat. Oh, well, fuck me then, I guess. I don't owe you anything for you giving birth to me, Mom. I don't owe you. I just want to give you things. I don't do things with my mother because I feel obligated to because she's my mom. I do things with my mom because I want to do things with my mom because I kind of like her as a person. How bizarre. Fuck me, I guess. Jesus Christ. You know what I owe my mom? An apology. Okay, I'm gonna keep going.
But you are supposed to dispense with all of that and then pretend that Western civilization is going to be fine. That quote from Ari Drennan says everything.
I mean, I would love to know why society wouldn't be fine if families existed in a different capacity. This is what I mean by your bubble is getting bigger whether you want it to or not, right? There's more than one type of family unit. The nuclear family isn't even that old of a concept. The nuclear family was popularized around, like, what, the 50s? 40s? Somewhere in the... I mean, 30s were full of swingers, so... Point being, it's not that old, right? So you've got this situation where not only is the nuclear family something that was produced, pushed, and accepted during a time of great wealth and prosperity, but also actually removed people from their families further, right? Because different cultures do things differently, and different time periods do things differently based on, like, economic status and based off like the local economy versus the greater economy at whole. You've got families that it was not uncommon for a grandparent to live with that family. It's not uncommon for children to move in. Like, your son gets married, that daughter-in-law moves in, or that son-in-law moves in to that house. So a house wouldn't have 4 people in it. A house would have 6 to 8 to 10. Right? So there's a whole other... There's more to this. The nuclear family had people leaving their homes to go start their own families, right? And getting out of the house by the time you were 18. That didn't used to be common. You didn't leave the house at all in some cases. Women not leaving the house until they were married, right? So you've got the concept of the nuclear family actually splits families up more than older or different versions of the family unit. Right? You have any idea how hard I tried to live in my mom's basement? My mom's basement is a 2-bedroom apartment, and I want it. I still want it. I would absolutely start a family in that basement. Because I trust my family, and I trust being around my family members. My mom just would not want a screaming baby in the basement, because she's like, fuck you, leave me alone. Which is absolutely fair. It's a bizarre concept. Yeah, I'm gonna guilt. You don't have grandchildren yet because you won't let me live in your basement. It's just this different concept of family, and that this conservative idea pretends that this was the only way and is the only way and is the natural way of things when it wasn't even the first way of doing things. You want to talk about, like, what it says in the Bible and what a family unit looked like in the Bible? A family unit in the Bible is not the nuclear family. So it really doesn't make any sense. Does the nuclear family function? Yeah, it's fine. It can. In some cases, it doesn't. Having more people around is generally a safer bet, right? Because it's a lot more difficult for one person to abuse somebody else when there's so many people around. Makes it a little bit more difficult. But there's more than one way to skin a cat, if you know what I mean. Right? So it's not like the nuclear family is the only way. It's not like the nuclear family is, like, a necessity to society. There are plenty of places around. There's America and there's not America. And in not America, there are plenty of other societies that function perfectly fine, are perfectly normal, work, have no problems, and have a different style of family unit. Matriarchies are also not that uncommon. The weird thing about the nuclear family as well, particularly in America, and the way it's pushed in America, is it predominantly white. People from Mexico, people from Spain, don't look at the Latino community and look at the way their families are and how awesome some of them are. My God, some of it is so cool. The nuclear family today is friends affording apartments together. Right, exactly. The nuclear family doesn't function in today's economy. It does not function in today's economy. So, what do you do about it? You find ways to survive. You find ways to keep your family together. You find ways and work your ass off. And it's hard. And it sucks. Ben Shapiro's a fucking idiot. Moving on. Ben Shapiro doesn't even know what the fuck he's talking about. Oh god. Okay, so this Vic Mignogna situation. So I'm going to scroll down a little bit, and I'm going to pause this video because I don't know if I'm going to get in trouble for showing this, and I'm going to let you guys vote in the chat. So, in this video, Vic Mignogna and 3 considerably younger people are having a conversation about right-wing politics. They're all right-wing YouTubers. I haven't had time to look through them yet, but I'm really curious to go and check out their stuff, but I have not seen it yet. And basically, his camera tips down, and he's in his little tighty whities. And I mean, we could have a debate on whether or not we can see, like, that's definitely his dick there. But I feel like YouTube's gonna get me in trouble. So I feel like I probably shouldn't show it. You guys can take my word on it, or you can, here, you know what? I'm gonna give you guys the link. Here's the link to the video. You can watch yourselves. And so people are using the word exposes. It's like, oh, he exposes himself, da 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 da. And it's like, okay, but he is absolutely, watch it yourself, and you tell me if you think what he's wearing are boxers, shorts, or those are absolutely tighty whities. I think they're absolutely tighty whities. But he gave a response or two, and this is fucking hilarious. So I'm gonna play this for you guys because this is the as much as I've given Vic Mignogna a whole lot of charity in like just assessing whether or not he should be canceled, shouldn't be canceled, because again, I'm not really big on that, but whether or not he should exist and why he's having the problems that he's having, because he likes to say it's because of all these other people. It's because of the way he handles these situations. Situations like this that he shouldn't have even gotten into in the first place that causes these kinds of stuff. Oh, Landon, it's good to see you. Landon's gonna be on tomorrow talking about Ancient Aliens. I'm so excited. It's gonna be a drinking game. All right. Okay. So situation happened where he knocked his camera or moved his camera or tilted his laptop, whatever the fuck he did, and it does this. Well, he's gonna show you what he did, and then he kind of describes it after he gets called out and basically laughed at for it. So let's hear what he has to say.
However, apparently there is some stupid thing that I should probably address. So Sunday night, you guys, I was laying in my room watching a movie, and I suddenly realized that it was 7:45, and I had...
Bro, your crazy eyes are not helping. This is a two-parter.
I was supposed to be on a show on the Simpcast with Chrissy Mayer and whoever else was going to be there. And I was just laying in my room watching TV, and I thought, oh my goodness, I'm late. So I grabbed a black button-up shirt, and I came into the studio, and I set up just like this, and started the interview, started the show. And in the middle of the show, and if you've seen it, you can see this for yourself. It's on video. I look over, like I'm looking.
See, don't get mad at me for sharing it. He told everybody to go and look and see it for yourself.
Over my laptop to try to find something. And I couldn't see it. It was behind my laptop. So, what did I do, everybody? I just went like this to get to get the thing behind the laptop. And as soon as I did, I reached for it. It couldn't have been more than 2 seconds, and that was it.
Hire a PR person, Vic Magnano. For the love of God, please hire a PR person. Just for your own sake. My lord. Dude. Please. Yeah, Bent makes a really good point. The excuse of, I was late so I threw on a button-up shirt, but didn't have enough time to put on pants. He also, like, hung up right after that. Like, like, he tipped it down or whatever. It showed for, like, I don't know, a second or two, whatever. And then he logged out, like, he disconnected. So I don't know why he disconnected or what the issue was with disconnecting, or whether or not the person controlling the call disconnected him on purpose, or if, like, I don't even know what program they were using. Maybe it was StreamYards. I have no idea. Because then you could easily take him out. I don't know. But his description of this kills me. This is so fucking funny.
It was a complete accident. I wasn't even aware that anything happened.
You weren't aware that you tipped your laptop down that has your camera on it and you weren't wearing pants? What do you mean you weren't aware that anything had happened? What the hell?
But wouldn't you know it, these pathetic... I'm sorry, I'm trying my best not to...
It's okay, dude. You're apologizing for the wrong thing anyway.
I don't even... What's wrong with people? Seriously. You couple of people out there, and you know who you are. Anybody who's ever spent 30 seconds around me, or knows anything about me, which clearly you don't, knows that I would never do something so stupid. And I'm seeing these...
I would never do something so stupid on purpose. Oh my god. I mean, to be fair, this is super fucking embarrassing. Like, I would be embarrassed if I did that on stream, or even, like, by accident on a call with anybody. I would be embarrassed. I always wear pants or shorts or something, and that's specifically because of the way I sit, and because I have a tendency of, like, getting up and going and doing something, or dealing with a dog or whatever. So because I am very unprofessional, I make sure that I'm always wearing pants. But, like, just admit you're embarrassed it was an accident, and you were like, I'm a fucking idiot. But no, this is other people's fault. Do you remember when this happened to a Canadian politician twice? Yeah, so here's part 2, where he goes on. You guys tell me what you think. Your guys' commentary on this is way better than mine.
Something so stupid. And I'm seeing these... Vic Mignogna exposed himself. Are you insane? You must be mentally unstable. You must need medication. Seriously. You need to get some help. Have you ever gone to the beach? Have you ever gone to the swimming pool? Well, those people are exposing themselves about as much as I did.
I don't think he knows what the word exposed means. Dude, you got caught with literally your pants down in your undies by accident. Something that you didn't intend to show people. When people go to the beach, they dress intentionally for the beach. Exposed means you fucking did something that you either didn't mean to or probably shouldn't have. I mean, you're just lucky that, like, your dick wasn't hanging out of that front little dick pocket, because you would have gotten that person's whole channel fucking nuked into oblivion. Chesh wears pants, unsubscribe. How dare you? How dare you? Yeah, even if he had said, I'm sorry, I accidentally did, and it was unprofessional, all would have been forgiven. Yeah, even if you threw in the excuse that, oh, I was in a rush, and so because it was a call, I just didn't bother wearing pants. Like, no, COVID happened, dude. Everybody's been on calls wearing, like, not wearing their pants. Even right now, the top half of me looks like I could go out grocery shopping or whatever, and I'm wearing pajama pants on the bottom. Right? Like, bro, why? Why are you gonna... You're the one who showed your dick, dude. You're the one who's, like, showed off your tighty whities. Yeah, that's exposing, because it wasn't purposeful. My god. Ridiculous.
There was no exposing. All you need to do is look at the video, you guys. All the 2 seconds of it. You can see the tails of my shirt, and you can see my thighs, and you can see a portion of my shorts. And that's
a portion of my shorts. Bro, that was your tighty whities. And, I mean, if I put it up, we could debate on whether that little bit of white that's exposed right in the middle of that crotch area, about whether or not that's actually your pee-pee or not. We could have that debate. We could have that discussion. But maybe we'll do it in Discord. Join the Discord.
That's it. For 2 seconds.
He can't be pants on fire. He doesn't have pants.
Nothing was exposed. And I was mortified when I found out about it. I would never in a billion lifetimes do something like that. It's inconceivable to me that
if you are embarrassed and mortified, then be embarrassed and mortified. Your ego isn't letting you. Your ego isn't letting you like accidentally show, like, my god, if it would... This is the check yourself before you wreck yourself. If your ego is so inflated that you can't be like, whoops, you've got a problem. Like, you've got a whole different problem.
There are literally people out there who are so perverted. You know, perverted people think everything and everyone is perverted.
You're the one who showed your stuff off. Accidental or not, you're still the one that did that. That's on you. You're responsible for that. That's not on them from being, like, having an opinion about it. Doesn't make them perverted. You know what would make somebody perverted? Oh, whoops. You know what would make somebody perverted? Them, like, taking a screenshot of it and printing it a bunch of times and blowing it up and putting them, like, above their bed and, like, fapping to it regularly. Now, I don't know anybody who would do that personally, and people who know me and who have talked to me for, like, longer than 30 seconds would know that I would never do something like that, especially for a bit, where I would then tip my camera and show my ceiling and there would be a printout of it. I would never do such a thing. And if I had thought about that bit earlier, I absolutely would have done that. But it's such a... pervert is also a really bizarre word depending on the context. So he's just talking about regular people being like, what the fuck, Vic, as being perverts. It's like, if you criticize me for accidentally showing my... or laugh at me for accidentally showing my dick, then you're a pervert.
Through a perverted lens, right? Like, it wouldn't even ever occur to me to expose myself in some way. It wouldn't even occur to me. Like, that's not even in my thought process. But there are people out there whose minds are so twisted and they're so full of whatever darkness that's in them that they see perversion everywhere. And a simple accident, a momentary mistake, which still wasn't inappropriate, it was
wholly inappropriate, and you're lucky that person didn't get their channel removed because of it. That's a thing that can happen. Your channel can get. I drew 7 circles that got shown on a live stream, and that stream got nuked. Like, they were drawn circles on white. It was just black and white, and it got fucking burned down. He's so defensive. Ridiculous.
Isn't exposing anything. That's what they see, or that's what they want people to see. I don't understand.
Excuse me, sorry, I was sneezing. Oh god, he keeps going. He keeps going. There's no help for this man. He doesn't know when to shut the fuck up. Helios for 30, for 30 months membership. Thank you so much. That's awesome. I guess I've been doing this for a lot longer than I realized. I'm now 100% this guy has sent an unsolicited dick pic after that statement. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. He's kind of known for doing a lot of unsolicited things. He's got a reputation, at least.
I don't understand what's wrong with these people. I really don't. Because you would think that I murdered their family. They behave with such hatred and such vitriol, and you would think, like, what did Vic do to this person or their family or their nothing? They don't even know me. Like the people that.
Yeah, that got intense there. I admit that I do not know Vic Mignogna personally. I've never met the man, never talked to the man. I was a semi-fan in high school. Like, I was first getting into anime, knew somebody who went to a con who got an album of his, listened to the album, stuff like that. I'm also not the type of super fan person. I don't tend to get attached to celebrities or to people who produce content like that. It doesn't mean I don't like them any less. I'm just not. I don't invest in that direction. I just try to be helpful to those people in like a more material way when possible. But I don't do stuff like that. So I admit that I don't know him. I'm critical, but I'm not critical of him as a person. I'm critical of his public behavior, right? And most of my criticism is related to how a situation ought to be handled or can be handled to be less problematic for the individual involved. So my criticism, if listened to and understood, ought to actually be ironically helpful for somebody like Vic Mignogna. Or Mosey, for example. The criticism for Mosey was talking about why what you were saying was problematic and why your response wasn't accepted by the community. Right? And what could you say that would have been better? Right? How can you do better so that these things don't happen to you again? Right? My advice to Vic Mignogna: get a PR person, you dumbass. You don't even know me. You're not my real dad.
The people, and I use that term loosely, that decided to try to twist this and spin it into something dark and perverted, they've never met me.
People are laughing at you more than anything else. It's not like people think that maybe you did it on purpose. But, like, I assure you, more people are just laughing at you and calling you a boomer more than anything else. But your explanation is making it worse. Your explanation is you're Barbra Streisanding yourself, as well as making people doubt your earnesty that you did it by accident.
They don't know me. They've never spent a minute with me. They are not connected to anything in my life. And yet, They are so desperate to get some attention for themselves.
You can't say that people aren't connected to the things that you do in your life when you put these things out in public. As soon as you've done something in public, the public is now connected to it in some capacity and varying capacities. Yeah, they don't know your personal life. Yeah, they're not about whatever is going on behind the scenes, but if you put that out in public, you are inviting everybody or making everybody bear witness to the thing that happened. And you're also encouraging people to go look, to see if what you're saying is true, or to see how absurd these people are. You're bringing people into it by making it public. That's a you thing. Methinks the alchemist doth protest too much. It's nice of you to still call him by his Edward Elric moniker.
It would actually be sad if they weren't so vicious toward other people. You know what I mean? I try to wonder, and I pray to heaven that this is not any of you. Please, everyone, don't ever get yourself in a position where you are so desperate for some publicity. You're so desperate.
Don't ever put yourself in a position where you're so desperate for publicity that you show your dick on camera in your little tidy whities.
To be noticed. That you will take an innocent moment that's from somebody else that has nothing to do with you.
I've been enjoying his degeneracy of explaining what this was, because at first it was like just happenstance, then it was like an accident of what he was doing, now it's just an innocent moment. You still haven't like properly apologized or stated the problem, my dude.
And try to twist it and pervert it into something that it is clearly not, just for your own publicity. That's pathetic. And if that's you, you're pathetic. And with whatever love I can muster, please get some help.
Well, I feel like I may have just been lectured by old man Vic over here for talking about this. Obviously, I'm the pervert. I am the pervert here. It was me the whole time. Because I'm getting so much publicity. I gain so much for talking about this, besides, a handful of fucking laughs. My mom. Chesh, with love, you're pathetic. Thanks, Mom. Oh my god. Amazing. I feel so bad for talking about this now. I'm such a bad person for trying to look at what he had to say and talk about how things might help him do better in the future. Joke's on him. Chesh was a pervert long before any of this. Joke's on you, old man Vic, in your lecture. I'm into this shit. Lecture me more, senpai. There's nothing that I enjoy more than getting condescended to by an old man. Oh yeah, it keeps going. This just gets worse. It's like, dude, stop.
What I was wearing. So if anyone tries to tell you, I thought I'd demonstrate. Broly here is holding what I was wearing. So if anyone tries to tell you, Vic Mignogna exposed himself, you're disturbed if you think that. You're blind and disturbed if you think that.
So first off, I actually doubt that those are actually the tidy whities that he was wearing, because you can see black spots on them, and there were no black spots that we could see on the ones he was wearing. But I have not actually, gone to check. I haven't cross-analyzed his fucking underwear. I don't give a shit, dude. Why do you think this would help you? Stop.
Just look at the 2 seconds of video. And then I went on to do.
He's literally encouraging people to sit around and stare at his underwear where his penis is, at his crotch, and cross-examine the underwear that he's showing on stream. He's asking people to go and pause the video, have this video, pause that video, and like... Well, gotta know. Alright, guys, break out your pixel measuring. We're gonna talk about Vic Mignon's dick size while we're here. So now he wants everybody to stare at it. So who's the pervert here? It's me? Is it me still? Am I still the pervert? If I do what he asks me to, am I unknowingly, like, participating in Vic Mignon's, like, expose kink?
Do a 3-hour show. So, presumably, if these people are correct, I'm doing a 3-hour show and then randomly, for no reason, without any kind of announcement, any kind of billboarding, I just expose myself.
Yeah. You just said it was an accident. So yeah, that would make total sense. But also, I don't know if you know what flashing is, but that is, it's unprompted. It's so bizarre. Like, he's so he's so please freeze frame both of us. He's so adamant, and it's so strange. It's so strange. My God.
For 3 seconds, and then we're back into the show, and I behave as if nothing happened. It doesn't even make any sense. I can't even, normal people can't wrap their minds around how abnormal people's minds work.
That's how I feel right now. Am I the normal one or the abnormal one? Who is who in this scenario, Vic? Am I the abnormal one and I'm not able to wrap my brain around your clearly normal mind? Versus, am I the normal one and I can't wrap my brain around your abnormal mind? Because one of us has exposed their tighty whities by accident on a stream, and one of us hasn't. So... I'm not saying I'm never going to do that at some point on purpose or accidental. Definitely it will be it'll 100% be an accident. With how much I talk about how everything that you see online has been curated for a purpose. Like he put those tidy whities there on purpose. He built his setup, his background is on purpose, this is intentional. The way I dress and look today is intentional, there's intent there. Anytime you see anybody online, there is leeway for accidents and flubs on live streams in particular, but when you're looking at, like, videos, there's still intent. The background is intentional. This is intentional. That's intentional. There's no possible way I would ever expose myself in any kind of capacity that would definitely be on purpose. It would always be an accident. Definitely not on purpose.
I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about. You know how you know people in your life who do things and you look at them like, how could you even conceive of doing that? Like, their brain...
How could you even conceive that somebody might have done something on purpose when they posted their nudes online? Or when they did something on a stream? How could you possibly conceive that it might have been on purpose? That's not a bizarre thing. That's not a bizarre thought to have, that somebody did something on purpose. That's not weird. The fact that you think that's weird is weird. Stop being so weird.
Works so differently than yours does that you just look at them and go, I don't understand. How do you even think that? I mean, I thought I'd demonstrate.
I would
Probably
ask this man to come. Yeah, by the way, if you look at the previous videos,
Something
yeah,
so
it's got the
stupid.
underwears
And-
there the whole time. Like, it was there on purpose. He did that on purpose. He purposefully showed everybody the underwear that he says was the underwear he was wearing, and then tells everybody to freeze frame when he showed his junk off, and stare at it long enough to compare the make sure that that's it. That's it. Go look at my dick. Why do you think this is better? Yeah, it keeps going. This is a whole fucking live stream. We're not gonna watch the whole thing. I'm gonna move on. But oh my god. Okay, so we went. Okay, so Uber Danger got himself into some situation. I haven't looked into this yet, but this is something that I saw. In January, I signed a contract with a company after I was told they would pay 10 to 12K a month for a channel my size by an agent. We sold them the rights to my content for 3 years. 1 year has passed, and the deal has earned $1.87. That's a huge yikes. I'm waiting for this to kind of develop a little bit more to see if he ends up taking legal action or what kind of legal action he actually takes. But as somebody who also had someone try to con them into signing a bullshit contract at around the same time of the year this past year, and like, speaking of, I just thought it was, I'm curious to see where this one goes, but there's not a whole lot to talk about, so if you're interested in this and what's gone on with Uber Danger, I definitely recommend looking it up, but this one is going to stay in my bookmarks because I want to follow and see what happens. Hopefully he gets his just desserts in this case. This is the video. We talked about this. Okay, so this one is, these ones are all kind of connected. So let's take a look and see. It says, kind of heartbreaking that men have to go through the experience themselves just for us to be taken seriously. And this is talking about, like, since it's International Women's Day, let's talk about how video games are still not a safe place for women. This interaction happened to me recently unprompted and still happens to me and many other women regularly in games. So, trigger warnings, and this was also in response, like, if I am understanding. Okay. So let's take a look and see what happens. Again, trigger warnings for anybody. Nobody can take care of your mental health like you can. And I mean, I guess there should have been trigger warnings through this entire thing because I talk about complicated topics, and those complicated topics can be upsetting to people. So if you feel upset, please take a minute, walk away. It's okay. You're not offending anybody by choosing not to participate or thinking that you need a breath. So let's see how video gaming is. Shall we?
Woman moment.
Sorry, what'd you say?
I said woman moment.
What does that mean?
It means woman moment. Women are stupid.
Remember,
Oh,
wipe
is
the
that why
pills from your
you
guns.
were the one that died?
It's just
and
good crime scene
I
etiquette.
was the one.
Shut up, woman. Go
alive?
hang yourself.
Watch me frag you this game.
Okay.
It takes it a minute before the audio actually comes through. Yeah, it was a woman moment because women are stupid. And she was like, oh, so that's why you're the one who died? And some 12-year-old kid responds with, shut up, woman, go hang yourself. I'm only offended by your D&D comment. Thanks. There's nothing more satisfying than, like, some kid being like, nah, fucked your mom. It's like, kid, your balls haven't even dropped yet. Calm the fuck down. And so let's take another one. Let's take a look, see, shall we?
Hey, number one bitch.
What the fuck?
My god.
Not even talking.
I think I just created like the slowest ODS completion.
You're a bitch.
And you have 2 brain cells. What the hell?
So?
Exactly. Why is he talking to me?
Your mother's a whore.
What?
Hey, number one bitch.
What the fuck?
Completely unprompted. This person is a woman. I literally keep my mic off at all times for this reason. It doesn't even matter. I still hear this kind of bullshit every single day, multiple times a day. It's insane how much shit guys talk to girls, even if we're minding our own business and are muted. She was muted. They were just saying this shit. When showing male friends this clip, I asked them if these sorts of interactions ever happened to them based on their gender. Not a single one of them said they've ever experienced anything like that. Video games need to do better and be better. It's not the games that need to do better. It's the stereotype. It's the culture around video games. Because there's a difference between shit talking and just being an asshole. Like, you're not clever. You're the bottom of the barrel, low-hanging, trashy fruit that nobody wants to eat. Right? You're like wasps, who nobody likes, are getting drunk off of, like, how... What's the word I'm looking for? How fermented your brain is. That's the kind of level we're dealing with, right? This was the early gaming days in Halo. Yeah, they're not playing Halo. This is current. This was posted on March 8th. This is current gaming. This one's from November. This isn't Halo. Right? And as much as things have gotten better and have improved over time, this is the way it is. Yeah, the culture needs to be better. Yeah. So I opened this one here because this person posted a document, a documentary. And I saw somebody, wow, where is it? Hold on. Oh, here we go. Let's listen to what this one is.
What do you think would happen if men disguised their voices in a Valorant lobby as women? How do you think that would go? Yeah, not so good, right? So recently, Women in Games Argentina decided to try this experiment. They had 3 professional Valorant players who are men join a lobby and play, and in the middle of the match, they put on voice changers to sound like women. And this experiment went exactly as you would think it would go. If you don't know anything about Women in Games Argentina, they are an organization that is dedicated to creating more inclusive spaces for women in gaming. So back to the experiment, as the
Sorry, before we move on, I think there's a misnomer when it comes to safe spaces, right? Safe space, people think that it's a degree of oppression of the speech that can be utilized in a space to cater to a specific group. What it actually is, particularly in this case, is don't be a fucking dick. If it's not acceptable at a bar, it's not acceptable here. If it's not acceptable in public, it's not acceptable in here. If it's happening in public, you have some other problems on your fucking hands. This is about social etiquette, right? I think safe space is a misnomer. I don't think it's a very good way to put it, because I don't think it actually puts across what's being asked for. What's being asked for isn't for a safe space where women need to be treated special. It's a space where women are treated equally and treated fairly. You don't talk like that to random dudes on the internet. You just don't suddenly start shouting about how they're a whore. That doesn't happen. Why? And the answer is because it's not socially acceptable. But in gaming spaces, it's socially acceptable to do it to women. So the safe space that's being asked for is not treat me special. The safe space they're asking for is stop being a dick to me for no fucking good goddamn reason, you asshole. Sorry, I interrupted her. Let's continue.
These guys turn down their voice changers. Any semblance of cooperation, seriously, out the window. Gone by, nice to see ya. It went just like that. And the men that were disguising their voices as women were called slurs and, being trolled for playing a man's game and, anything that us women, would normally face. The trolling was so egregious that there's stats on this. So before the men changed their voices to female, one of the players racked up 15 kills and 2 deaths in one game. And then in the next game with the voice changer on, they had 16 deaths because the male players that they were playing with in the lobby just refused to play with them whatsoever. Here's a small clip from the video, but trigger warning, it is kind of nasty.
Yeah, and here you get to like kind of see a little bit of the extreme side of it. This, you're not going to run into this in every single game. Not anymore. And I do want to acknowledge that there have been improvements, and certain games have gone out of their way, particularly Riot, which we're talking about right now. This is Valorant, which is a Riot game, has gone out of their way to make League better. Valorant, on the other hand, is still heavily suffering because of voice comms. It's voice comms. Voice comms don't exist in League of Legends, like in Standard League. You don't have voice comms. You have to intentionally go in and be partied with people if you want to use the League invoice, or you have to enter a Discord. So there's extra steps that need to be taken. Valorant has in-game voice chat because of the style of game. You need to have that kind of stuff to be able to communicate at a high enough level to be able to play the game properly. You see the same thing with stuff like CSGO, yada yada yada. So that's why it struggles differently in a different way. And again, this is not to absolve Riot. This is to say that Riot has found ways to mitigate this in other games, so hopefully they might find a way to help mitigate it in these ones.
1, 2, 3,
Probando. 1, 2, 3, probando.
qué paja, una mina.
Sorry, I'm going to make this a little bit bigger because this is like impossible for you guys to read, so I'm just going to... Hopefully you guys can read this. I don't know if there's much else I can... Yeah, there's not a whole lot else I can do for this, so bear with me. I wonder if there's a way I can... Let me see. Can you guys see that now? Hopefully you guys can read this, because you have to be able to read it. So, there you go.
Probando. 1, 2, 3, probando.
Qué paja, una mina.
¿Alguien me está escuchando? Entro.
Tómatela, placa.
Si quieren podemos intentar ir por
Nadie
B.
vaya por B, a ver si matan rápido a la puta.
¿Alguien me puede venir a dar una mano?
¿No querés abandonar la partida, mejor puta de mierda?
Ahí tenés la kill que querías.
La kill te la mereces vos y todas las mujeres.
Trata de cubrir a... Bueno.
Si no te gusta, andate.
Es un juego en equipo, tengo ganas de aportar.
Anda a la cocina a aportar mejor. Pedazo de puta.
No sé, que jueguen solos.
That last streamer you just saw was named Alfredito, and he went on to say...
Yeah, so again, as you remember, these are not actually women's voices. These are voices of... Oh, let me just recrop this real quick. These are men using a voice changer. These are not... There we go. Whoop! Off to the side. These are not women playing. These are not women speaking on behalf of these players. These are players that are men who are professional players using a voice changer to sound like a woman. They clearly know what they're doing. They know what they talk about. They know how to play the game. And that's what happens to them. So it's not like what they're saying doesn't make any sense, right?
About the experience that it really takes away from your desire to play. It's something you do not want to do anymore. I don't want to imagine having to live an experience like this on a daily basis. And unfortunately, that's the reality for most women who do try to start any sort of career or, even just a hobby playing an esports game. Experiences that these gamers have in this simulation or this experiment are all very similar. Lucius, the next streamer that goes on, after his experience, he says, honestly, you feel indignation, frustration. It's just very sad, really. This is exactly why women don't feel like they can pursue any sort of career in gaming or esports, because they are treated like this. The video ends with a quote saying, the greatest difficulty of this game is not the gameplay. It's not the gameplay. We know that it's not the gameplay, it's the culture. And more experiments like this and bringing to light all of the difficulties that women face is really a great step, and hopefully will bring about change.
And I think she makes a good point. The point of showing a video like this and doing this kind of an experiment and doing this kind of thing isn't to shit on men. And it's not to shit on the game. It's not even to shit on anybody who plays the game in particular. It's not to force them to change as people. It's not to force them. It's not to enforce anything on anybody. It's to highlight the problems that exist. So that way we can start working towards solutions. Is the solution to separate men and women's gameplay? Is the solution to maybe just don't be a dick? Because that seems like the best answer to me. But then how do you enforce that? And what does the game do? What does the company do to make those changes? Right. All those players should get permabanned. Maybe. Are you going to hire people to listen to all of the logs of every report that's ever made, relying on women to report it in the first place? You'd have to set up a better, you'd have to set women up to know that reporting this is something that the company is working on and that the player base needs to do, because the men need to report it too. It relies on the players. And then you would have to be listening to abusive language for hours upon hours upon hours to then determine whether or not something is bad. And it's difficult to consistently do that. And the reason it's difficult to consistently do that, because you're not going to use a bot to do it, because that would have a... that would be really difficult. Especially if you're trying to make a slow change over time, because that's probably the healthiest way to do it. It's to change the culture in a way that behaving like this is unacceptable. And the thing is that people are going to say, oh, well, you're just censoring people, or you're just telling people how they have to behave for your own sensibilities. And the answer, and like, you're going to destroy free speech or whatever. The answer is that it's already normative for this kind of behavior to be unacceptable. It's already normative, particularly in the West, although not everywhere in the world. This kind of behavior is more or less common depending on where you are. There's a reason this was Video Games Argentina that did this study. Right? The game was Valorant, yeah. So, different places around the world need to have different policies of what's going to work for them. And the question is okay, well, how and what do you do to change that? Is the society itself problematic? And if society itself outside of the game is already problematic, how could you possibly change just the game? And the answer is baby steps. And to not be discouraged because things are hard. Wizards of the Coast, for example, in D&D, Hasbro, the company. Now, I'm not talking about the nitty-gritty of the game, because I know I'm going to offend some people, so I'm not going to talk about the nitty-gritty of the game. But what they did is they told their main player base to suck a dick for like a decade, at least, if not longer. They took their main player base, the people that were guaranteed to give them money, and told them to fuck off. And the reason they told them to fuck off was because they made major changes to make the game more accessible for more players. That was 4th edition. 4th edition, it was called dumbed down, it was called stupid, it was called this is for low intelligence people, yada 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 yada. If you played 4th edition, you were stupid. Because 3.5 was so much better. And we're not going to talk about how problematic 3.5 and how much of a spaghetti nonsense it was, and how ridiculously, unnecessarily complex it was. 4th edition makes a great fucking card game. If you want to learn D&D and how it kind of functions, 4th edition is a fantastic tool, provided you play it like it's a card game. It is one of the best ways to learn. However, a lot of people didn't fucking like it. And a lot of people didn't like that things were made more accessible. And this is how we wrap all the way back to what we started with. Making things more accessible doesn't wreck a game. It doesn't make your game worse or better or more or less difficult. 5th edition has more to it than 4th edition. 4th edition was a little bit limiting, admittedly, because the spells dictated how they were used on your card. Right? Now, you didn't have to listen to that. You didn't have to follow that. You could take 4th edition and run it more like a 3.5 game at your table if you so decided, because this isn't a game like the way it is online. There were mechanical changes, and those mechanical changes allotted one thing or another. That's not what we're talking about with Valorant. We're talking about a societal or a culture change. But the way D&D and Hasbro made a cultural change and started to make that cultural change was through the rules, was through the mechanics of the game. They made the mechanics more accessible. And then 5th edition brought that complexity and that freedom back in. It removed a lot of it. 4th edition was far more restrictive than 3.5, and 5th edition was far more open than 4th edition. But they managed to keep it still approachable. But they took that fan base and they said, we don't give a shit. You don't own us. You don't own the game. You can still play whatever game you want to play. Nothing's stopping you from playing 3.5 right the fuck now if you want to. But we want to make more money. We want our game to be more accessible. And we're going to take that risk of pissing off our fan base. And they did. League of Legends did the same thing. They pissed off their fan base for about 2 to 3 years. They pissed off the 80 carry players. 80 carries, which is the attack damage carry, for a long time was a role that was relied on to do damage and carry the game, attack damage, carry the game at the end. They did a lot of damage, they were really effective, but they needed a lot of resources to get there, and they relied on the team to get there. But because it was a staple role, the 80 carry players were toxic as fuck because they felt entitled to everybody else's resources. It was everyone else's job to make sure that they could get what they needed, and if they didn't get what they needed and weren't able to do what they needed to do in their position, it was everybody else's fault. And the way that Riot dealt with that is they made, for about 3 years, the 80 carry position garbage. Trash. It was so difficult. Everything killed you immediately. You didn't have the damage output. The tank meta came out for years. Only now have they been starting to bring 80 carry back as a role. Everybody was playing the 80 carry position. Mages were playing the 80 carry position. Tanks were playing the 80 carry position. Supports were playing the 80 carry position because you didn't have to play a specific type of champion to play that position anymore. And now it's starting to rotate back. They're rotating 80 carries back in a far less toxic, resource-reliant position. So it's more healthy for the players, it's more healthy for the individual champions that do well in this role, and it's more healthy for the game on a whole. And it is not easy to do. It takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of resources, and sometimes you gotta take a wallet hit to deal with it. Right? So, and that's what happens, and that's what you have to do. Don't be surprised to see the same thing happening to Valorant. Don't be surprised to see the same thing happening to other games, because guess what? Women have money too, and corporations like money. Video games didn't used to only be directed at men or at boys. That's something that changed over time, and in different countries they're marketed differently. Because that's something we should talk about in another stream. How marketing affects a game industry, and is a game industry or a game company or a company in general a hypocrite if they have an LGBTQ banner in one country and not another. Yes, Nintendo is a very good example. But we will talk about that another time. Nintendo has been brilliant about their marketing and the way they've attacked the problem of I guess gender segregation in video gaming. Splatoon, making things accessible for children in a less toxic way. But I hope you all enjoyed this. I did see one question, actually, I think came in, or two questions, sorry. Can you not also change society by changing the game first as a way to change society on the long run? Yes, that's exactly what I was referring to with, like, small steps. If you can change the game and show that there's a better way, then suddenly other people are like, well, my game doesn't have to be this complete shit. Why is my game like this? Helios also asked, what do you think about games that have just gotten rid of chat for both voice and text? They couldn't realistically moderate them, so they just got rid of it. It works for some games, it doesn't for others. It is certainly a way to solve the problem, by just removing the problem entirely, like by completely removing the scenario. So in some cases it works, in some cases it won't. I don't think you're gonna be able to do something like that in a game like Valorant or CSGO or COD. The voice chat and being able to coordinate is too large of a mechanic in the game. So there's going to have to be, they'll have to come up with a different solution or change their game entirely. So one of the two. So we'll see. I'm looking forward. I'm curious. I don't know how to fix this kind of a problem. I don't have enough information to be able to tell you how to fix it because I don't have a good enough understanding of like the mechanics of each individual game. I don't play Valorant. I can't imagine why I wouldn't play Valorant, but I don't play Valorant, so I don't know enough about the game itself to even propose what might fix it. Riot has in their terms of service that they will punish people for sexism being communicated. I'd say either they start doing that or remove that from their TOS and become pro-sexism. I don't know, because it's not that simple, because again, you'd have to go through chat logs for hours upon hours upon hours upon hours to be able to implement that properly. So it's one of those like, yeah, if they catch you doing it, yeah, there's gonna be repercussions. But how do you catch people doing it consistently? Right? Helio said, do you think that companies have to go that way where they nuke the toxic element for a while before bringing it back in a healthier manner? In some cases. In some cases, it's the best option. In some cases, it's the fastest option. I don't think it needs to be done in everything. Not everything is as toxic as first-person shooters, because first-person shooters do seem to suffer from this the most, and then competitive, right? Smash is a good example of games that don't, like fighting games don't have voice comms like that. So it does seem to be that there is a toxic culture that is most prevalent in and most concentrated in FPSs. And I think the question would be, why? Why is this so prevalent in first-person shooters? And the answer is because of the game setup. To me, I would suggest that the answer is the way the game is designed and set up and the way the game is marketed. Call of Duty is not marketed to women. It's marketed to, like, the toxic male ideal of the way war is. Like, this is, like, COD is not, like, it's toxic from top down. And there's nothing wrong with having, like, power fantasies about war, but the way it's marketed is that this is a space where you can be like, oh, yeah, guns, fuck you. Like, that's the way it is. As someone who worked at EB Games, when Modern Warfare 2, whichever one you play as a Russian terrorist in the airport, that one, when that one came out, I saw the marketing. I saw the way it was set up. I saw the way it was sold. Like, it got people to buy the game. And I think knowing how your marketing affects who is buying your game is important. For a long time, people were only buying Dungeons & Dragons in game stores. And if you're a woman who's ever been to a game store and spent any kind of time there, it's generally not pleasant. So, I don't know. I'm glad we were able to bring this full circle. I hope I was able to, answer some of your questions. I hope there was some interesting conversation. Like the video if you like the stream, if you learned something. If you want to collab with me or you have things that you want me to talk about, please leave them below. If you post a link, it will get hidden, but I will let it through. So I just don't want like spam getting through, which is why that link restriction is still there. So if you do have a link, feel free to post it. It won't show up right away, but I will absolutely put it through. But yeah, leave me a comment, let me know. I'll be back next Tuesday doing the same kind of thing. I had fun doing this. This was fun, just kind of covering what's in my bookmarks and kind of clearing some of that out, and it only gets worse. I assure you, I only bookmark garbage. I will be back tomorrow for our History Channel drinking game with Dapper and Landon. Oh my god, it's going to be so so much fun. I am so excited. It's going to be a grand old fucking time. And there may be some AAI updates coming soon as well. There is also an unnamed tavern coming up, and I think that is this... Is that this Saturday? Hold on. I have to check now. Wait a minute. Why don't I know when my own stuff is? Because I'm a bad YouTuber. That's why. Don't like, don't subscribe. Never come back here again. Yes, it is this Saturday. This Saturday will be the next unnamed tavern, so you're interested in current events and newsy type stuff in a bar-styled setting, where there is a call-in option if you have stuff you want to say to us and ask us questions about. Please stop by on Saturday. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for your comments. Chat, you have been wonderful. You make this stream what it is, really. Chat is the only reason anybody should do live streams, because, like, what's the point if chat's not there? I'm gonna take off. Let me know what you think down below if I missed anything, if you have expansions of, like, yes and, please, if you have anything that you want to see me cover, you want to see anything, blah, 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 yada, 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 yada. There are links below if you'd like to support. You can become a member, which gives you additional access to the Discord. There is also just standard access to the Discord, so you can feel free to come and get in touch with me. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. There is a Patreon link below as well, and if you're not a fan of YouTube or Patreon, there is an Amazon wishlist down below for me and for Puck, so if you'd like to send something for the dog, feel free to. Anything that is additional that he can't use, or well, I mean, all of it is stuff he can use, but if I get like a crazy excess of anything, it will go to a local animal shelter, and I'll take a picture and send it to you if you want. Thank you so much. Have a great day, everybody. I had a grand old time. I hope you did too. And, I don't know. I hope you guys have a good week. Bye!